Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. 10 signs today that a foreigner is exploiting a Filipina. I have heard more than enough times that when an older foreigner marries a younger Filipina, that he automatically is exploiting her, taking advantage of her. And that's what I want to talk about today. Between coughing, as I have not been feeling so well, please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea for observations to help with perspectives of a foreigner and a Filipina relationship. Comments are always welcome, and don't forget to get notifications for upcoming videos by clicking the bell, but then you also have to remember to click add after that. That's another step not everybody knows about. Is an age gap with a Filipina, like I have, exploitation? Am I exploiting my wife? Well, how would anyone know? When the Philippines opens up again, go where you're wanted and don't give up trying to find a wife, no matter what some people say. I would be naive to think that there isn't a lot of exploitation going on, and has been for a long time. This makes for another stereotype in international dating, that the younger woman or younger women who are willing to marry an older foreigner are getting exploited, whether they know it or not. Exploitation can go both ways, but since I am a man, I only concern myself with how the man treats the woman. I leave the job of advising Filipinas to other Filipinas. I think it's more effective that way. My wife, she's 27 years younger than I am, and I was looking for a younger wife back in, 2015 when we got married. Yeah, I can't believe it. And if I could marry a younger woman, I think there are good reasons for that. I certainly don't feel like I was exploiting her. Why is that? I'll explain why. Then list some ways that some foreign men exploit younger Filipinas. As if it needed to be said, I am against exploitation from either person. First, I want to start with intent. If my intent was to exploit my wife, I wouldn't have married her. Marriage can be risky and will certainly have its share of disappointments. I wasn't interested in living with her or using her as a friend with benefits. It wasn't even a matter of wait and see. From day one with my profile on Christian Filipina, it was my clear objective that marriage was what I wanted to do. That's what I was there for. And that took all of 54 days to accomplish with my wife. Of course, I wasn't expecting it that quickly, but it was time to prove my intention. I wasn't interested in looking around for someone better. I wasn't even praying for a girlfriend. I was praying for a wife. Motive. What was I going to do with my Filipina after I married her? Could I still exploit her then? Is that why I married her so fast? Some might think so, but no, the quicker I could marry her, the quicker she would have a husband that committed to her even before he met her in person. A man who was willing to get to know her more on the backside of marriage than the front. I believed I could best meet her needs and do her good if we were married. And what do others say? I can have an opinion on this, but what others say does matter too. I'm sure my wife doesn't think I exploited her. That's the most important one. I'm sure anyone in her family would say the same thing as would anyone who has met us together. I think it is absolutely possible someone with an even larger age gap can also say they're not taking advantage of a younger Filipina. Since I think we're good there, exploitation is easier seen in the following 10 examples. Before I get to the most obvious way to reveal exploitation, here's some other ones. Let's start with dishonesty. The first way to exploit is by being dishonest. If a lot of dishonesty is present, it may be in order to keep the Filipina around longer so she can be taken advantage of. He might be swinging with several Filipinas at the same time, a jack of all trades and a master of none. Of course, this is hidden from the Filipina. He even might be in another country, now and then playing the field without her knowing it. With my wife, it was always honesty. I insisted on total honesty, and still do. then, even if we don't like what we hear, then we just have to deal with things. If we're to have a relationship, we are both free to be ourselves. We can't be afraid of being honest for fear of retribution or the relationship ending. Here's another trait of exploitation: being demanding. If the foreigner is for some reason being demanding, he does not care about the Filipina. It is not a relationship when one is demanding of another. He may not want to lose her, and there is probably something about his personality that causes him to be demanding or even make threats in order to exploit her more. Then there is being one-sided. There's a lot that fits in here. If you ever see a foreigner with a one-sided relationship with his Filipina, there's a good chance she's being exploited. When it is like this, and I shouldn't even refer to it as a relationship, his concern is what is best for him mainly, not for the Filipina or both of them. His opinion carries the weight when it comes to decision making, and opinions aren't shared with equal weight to hers. This can all be part of manipulating the relationship so it leans heavily to his side of things. It is easy to see why this might be. There is a foreign man thinking he is highly sought after, looking for a younger Filipina, thinking she should be grateful a foreigner is giving her attention. He thinks, wrongly so, that he has the pick of the litter because he's from the West, and she should be thrilled to know him. He comes from a wealthy country. She may be poor. Can you see why decision-making can become one-sided here? Often men go to the Philippines without any intent to give her a better life, something she would like. She seems to tag along, content to show him off to her friends sometimes over there. The foreigner is in a better financial situation, I sure hope so, than the Filipina, in all likelihood, which can make him think that he should call the shots in most of the time, if not all of the time. I think if he were to consider her as more important than himself, that would balance things out nicely, and that is a biblical concept I talk about here. Very radical, I know. I'm not wise enough to come up with that kind of thought on my own. It's from the Bible. I try to do this with my own wife. The longer we are married, the easier it is to do, and the more satisfying it is, and the more she knows I am committed to her. Now let's talk about her good. It is more than simply sharing decision-making and doing things together that can still be manipulated to take advantage of another. Onlookers, family, and friends should be able to tell that he values her and already show signs of being someone her parents can trust her with. He is simply good to her without strings attached. Well, I have to talk about being abusive. A regrettable indication the foreign man is taking advantage of the Filipina is when he displays abusive physical or emotional tendencies. If he loved her, he would stop treating her that way or let her loose so she can find a real man. Rather than being abusive, he should be kind, considerate, and want to build up her sense of self-worth. Sticks around. How about this one? He isn't here today and gone tomorrow. He sticks around. He isn't gone like the wind. I have heard of countless accounts of a foreigner abandoning a Filipina, sometimes when they're pregnant. This violates a few principles of not taking advantage of someone. Dishonesty, one-sided, not good for her. She certainly wasn't expecting him to disappear. She wasn't even part of the decision-making. She feels taken advantage of and betrayed. I'm sure most of these fellows think they have dodged a bullet, but I wouldn't bet on that. Money. What I mean here with money is that since he is interested in her well-being, he helps her after a solid relationship is established and is open to suggestion to use it for something she wants to buy or experience. Having a closed fist with money would indicate to me at the least a lack of interest in giving her some happiness she wouldn't ordinarily get. Jealousy. Jealousy can result in manipulation and be from a lack of trust. If he is interested in what is best for her, then he isn't threatened if someone more serious about her shows up on the scene. Jealousy can also lead to the next sign of exploitation, which is controlling. The Filipina can get control when she finds she is with someone who is attentive to her whereabouts and needs to know who she has been with and where she's been, what she's doing constantly. Through jealousy and lack of trust in her, maybe a lack of trust in himself, he ends up controlling her. I will link a video in the description box called "There's No Need to Control a Filipina." Now let's talk about sex. I left this for last since I consider it the most obvious sign a foreigner is exploiting younger Filipina. Going to the Philippines because a man knows he is able to have sex with a woman he can only dream about in his country is exploitive. Is that a word? That's where the term sexual exploits can be applied. Don't be surprised to see this person bragging about being with a young woman who is doing it for one reason, and for one reason only: the money. She knows, where he's at. She might not be done with men yet as she allows another one to exploit her later that day. The man could reason that he is not forcing this woman to sleep with him, therefore he couldn't be exploiting her. But come on, what is she getting out of it? In my opinion, if it's anything short of a commitment, a ring, she is being taken advantage of. The exploits I think he should be bragging about are for her good, her well-being, no strings attached, that she is proud to tell her family about. A high standard, indeed, but those are the only kind I am interested in. While many men take advantage of Filipinas, I am proud that many men don't when it comes to their love beyond the sea.